September 19th, 1944, Lady Island to Philippines. The jungle hums with the sound of cicadas and distant gunfire. Rain falls in thick curtains, drumming against helmets, turning red clay into sucking mud. Private First Class Hiroshi Nakamura, Imperial Japanese Army, stumbles through the undergrowth clutching a Type 99 Arisaka rifle slick with sweat and rain. His unit, what remains of it, has been encircled for 3 days. Ammunition is gone. The last rice ball was eaten yesterday morning. Hold your positions. Tain Takeda had barked at dawn, voice hoarse from thirst, but everyone knows it's hopeless. The Americans have them pinned artillery from the ridge, Sherman tanks grinding closer through the palms, the smell of cordite and diesel thick in the air, then the sound, a deep mechanical growl, closer than before, tank treads crushing ferns. A flare arcs overhead, white light washing across the shattered grove. Nakamura throws himself into a shell hole, trembling. His sergeant, SGT Watanabe, lies beside him, blood soaking through his tunic. Don't let them take you alive, Watanabe rasps. Better the bayonet than shame. But Nakamura's hands won't obey. His rifle is empty, his body hollowed by hunger. Somewhere in the darkness, someone shouts in English, "Drop your weapons." Hands up, he hesitates. A burst of machine gun fire rips through the trees, not aimed at him, but at the sky. A flare again. And in that moment, Nakamura makes a decision that feels like betrayal and salvation all at once. He lifts both hands. Minutes later, American soldiers in muddy fatigues surround him, men from the 7th Infantry Division. Rifles trained, but eyes not cruel. They strip his gear, search him for grenades, and lead him toward a clearing where dozens of other Japanese prisoners kneel under guard. The Americans speak quickly, almost casually. One of them offers him a tin canteen. Nakamura hesitates, then drinks. Cool, metallic water floods his mouth, his first real swallow in days. It tastes like life. As the rain slows the prisoner's AR, he herded down toward the coast, where landing craft bob against the surf. Some whisper Buddhist prayers. Others stare blankly at the ground. Nakamura glances back once at the jungle, his home, his empire, fading into shadow. Ahead, American soldiers smoke and laugh as they load crates marked rations, Type C, into a truck. He doesn't know it yet, but those words, tip EC, will soon become a revelation. That night, aboard a U.S. Navy transport, the prisoners are given their first meal. A guard tosses them canvas-wrapped boxes, stamped with stars and English lettering. The men open them hesitantly, expecting mockery or poison. Inside, tins of meat, biscuits, powdered coffee, and astonishingly a small bar of chocolate. Nakamura stares. Chocolate. He hasn't seen any since childhood, before the war strangled Japan's ports and sugar disappeared from the markets. Around him, other prisoners whisper in disbelief. What is this? One murmurs, American luxury. Another replies, almost bitterly, when a Marine hands him a cigarette, real tobacco, smooth and rich. Nakamura doesn't know whether to weep or laugh. The Americans smoke freely, talk freely, even share their matches. It's not the cruelty he was warned about. It's something else. As the ship's engines thrum and the night wind cools his face, Nakamura feels his stomach tighten not from hunger but confusion. He remembers the propaganda films shown before. Deployment, the barbaric Yankees, the monsters who tortured prisoners. Yet here he sits chewing beef stew from a tin, while an American sergeant jokes about baseball in the distance. Thunder rolls over the sea. The war is far from over. But for these captured men, a different kind of battle has begun, the one between what they were taught to believe and what their own eyes now see. October 2nd, 1944, U.S. Army Pa Camp No. 1, Oro Bay, New Guinea. The dawn light creeps across the compound, rows of barbed wire glistening, with dew, the faint clang of pots from a distant mess hall. Inside the wooden barracks, dozens of Japanese prisoners stir under khaki blankets. The smell of disinfectant, tan-boiled coffee heavy in the air. Private Nakamura wakes to a sound he can't place. Soft laughter across the aisle. Two American guards are playing cards, the slap of each hand punctuated by a string of jokes. He doesn't understand all the words, but the tone is unmistakably casual, even kind. When the morning whistle blows, the prisoners line up for roll call. Each man receives a steaming metal tray, scrambled eggs, white bread, a slice of ham. Two men who have lived for months on half-rotten rice and jungle roots. The sight borders on hallucination. Nakamura eats slowly, tasting each bite as though trying to memorize it. Sergeant Kobayashi, once a fierce disciplinarian, leans close and mutters, "They feed prisoners like officers. It's indecent." But his eyes linger on the hambi before he takes another bite. Later, during inspection, an American lieutenant from Wisconsin named John Harris strolls down the line. He's young, sunburned, and wears his sidearm loosely, a gesture of ease, not intimidation. Through an interpreter, he tells them, "You are soldiers. The war brought us here, but in this camp, you'll be treated under the Geneva Convention. No harm will come to you if you cooperate." For many of the prisoners, the phrase Geneva Convention means nothing, but they understand his tone. Firm, not cruel. Respectful, even. By afternoon, the Americans distribute hygiene kit, soap, razors, toothbrushes. Nakamura turns the bar of soap over in his hands, inhaling the unfamiliar scent of lavender. He remembers his wife, Yuki, washing laundry by the river near their home in Osaka, the smell of soap long since replaced by smoke and ration lye. That night, lying under the corrugated roof as rain taps above him, Nakamura can't sleep. He listens to the camp guards chatting quietly, a phonograph crackling from the officers' quarters. Faint strains of Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade drifting through the tropical air. It feels wrong to be comfortable. He recalls what they were told before deployment. Captured soldiers are no longer human. The Americans will torture you, humiliate you, starve you. Yet here he is, stomach full, skin clean, body intact. Across from him, a young corporal named Shimizu whispers, "If our families could see this, they would not believe us." Nakamura nods, then replies softly, "Maybe they shouldn't." Weeks pass. The prisoners settle into a rhythm: morning labor, midday rest, evening meals. Letters are permitted once a month, written in Japanese and inspected by censors. Nakamura writes carefully, choosing each word as if walking a minefield. "I am alive and treated well. The Americans give us enough to eat. They are not as we were told. I pray for the day I can see you again. He hesitates, wondering if the censors in Japan will even allow such words to pass. But he writes them anyway. Sometimes American medics visit the barracks, checking wounds and doling out quinine for malaria. One afternoon, Nakamura watches as a corpsman kneels beside a feverish Japanese private and wipes his brow. The gesture simple, human, strikes him harder than any battlefield encounter. By December, rumors spread that other camps are even more comfortable, some with baseball fields, others near coastal towns where prisoners work unloading supply ships. The Americans, it seems, have no desire for vengeance. Their cruelty is in how kind they can be. When Christmas comes, the camp mess hall serves turkey and canned cranberry. The guards hand out extra cigarettes and a few small parcels of chocolate. The men eat quietly, exchanging wary glances. For the first time in years, they taste sweetness. Nakamura folds a small piece of the all wrapper into his pocket, keeping it as a talisman, a reminder that truth is not always what one is told in uniform. That night, under a full moon, he looks beyond the wire fence to the sea, its waves glinting silver. Somewhere out there, Japan still fights on, cities burning, sons dying, mothers waiting. And here the enemy sleeps well fed under the same sky. He feels both shame and gratitude. He cannot tell which one hurts more. February 15th, 1945, U.S. Camp No. 2, Honolulu, Territory of Hawaii. The trade winds carry the scent of salt and pineapple across the camp as the morning sun paints the barracks gold. Beyond the wire, the Pacific gleams like glass. Inside, Japanese prisoners sit cross-legged at wooden tables, dipping brushes into ink pots. Today is mail day. Private Hiroshi Nakamura hunches over his sheet of thin, cream-colored paper, the faint lines already trembling with meaning. A U.S. guard named Corporal Donnelly stands nearby, smiling as he translates standard phrases for them. I am in good health. Do not worry. I am being treated fairly. But what Nakamura wants to write cannot have it into the language of official reassurance. He wants to tell his wife, Yuki, that he ate real bread yesterday, white and soft, like the loaves once sold in Osaka before the war took even flour away. He wants to tell her that his captors play baseball and that they laugh at themselves, that they give cigarettes not out of arrogance but out of habit. He wants to tell her that America feels impossibly rich, overflowing, untouched by hunger. He dips his brush again and begins, Dearest Yuki, I am alive. You must not worry. The Americans feed us every day. We have meat, soup, and something called chocolate. It melts in the mouth. I did not think such sweetness still existed in the world. Do you remember when we shared candy before I left? It tastes like that memory. He pauses. A lump rises in his throat. Around him, other prisoners scratch out their own confessions, the sound of ink on paper blending with the cry of seagulls overhead. At the far end of the table, Sergeant Kobayashi writes with deliberate formality, voice low but audible. The enemy follows the Geneva Convention. They give medical treatment. This must be known. His tone carries both disbelief and obligation. They were taught never to praise the enemy, yet the truth insists on being spoken. When they hand the letters to the American interpreter, some men bow slightly, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. Donnelly, uncomfortable with the gesture, simply nods. They'll go out next week, he assures them. Days later, Nakamura helps unload supply crates near the dock. KS wooden boxes stamped with U.S. Army ration type K. Curiosity gets the better of him. As a sergeant opens one for inventory, Nakamura glimpses the contents. Canned ham, biscuits, sugar, instant coffee, and again chocolate. Each item seems to belong to another world. He recalls the rations back home: dried fish powder, pickled vegetables, millet cakes so hard they chipped teeth. Even officers rarely saw meat. He realizes then that America's strength does not lie only in its weapons, but in its abundance. Later, back in the barracks, the prisoners speak quietly about what they've seen. How can a nation feed its soldiers like kings? One man murmurs, perhaps they have no need to starve. Another replies, Kobayashi, who once preached about Japan's thieving, now stares at his hands. We were told that Americans were soft, he says softly. If this is softness, then what have we been fighting against? That night, a Red Cross official weeps. It's the cap he carries reports from other facilities: Manila, Brisbane, Guam. Everywhere the same story repeats. Captured Japanese soldiers astonished by the food, the cigarettes, the strange courtesy of their enemies. Nakamura listens as the interpreter reads aloud excerpts from other prisoners' letters. Some men cry silently. Others sit motionless, eyes fixed on the floor outside. The Americans celebrate with the dance music spilling from a phonograph, laughter rising against the dark. For a moment, the line between captor and captive blurs. The guards offer cigarettes through the fence, and a few prisoners accept them shyly. Smoke curls upward, merging into the night. When the lights go out, Nakamura lies awake, watching the stars through the slats of the barrack roof. He imagines his letter crossing the ocean, passing through censors, perhaps reaching Yuki months from now. He wonders if she will believe him. Will she understand that kindness can exist even in war? Or will his words sound like delusion, propaganda from the wrong side? The thought haunts him long after the camp falls silent. April 28, 1945, Guam, Mariana Islands. The war is drawing toward its bloody crescendo. Across the Pacific, the Imperial Navy is shattered. City burn under American bombers and Emperor Hirohito's voice grows faint beneath the roar of the tide. Yet here, inside U.S. PA Camp No. 5, the captured soldiers of Japan live in a strange twilight between defeat and revelation. Private Hiroshi Nakamura aches to the scent of breakfast, a gendaiken sizzling, coffee boiling. The guards whistle as they work, radios buzzing with reports from Okinawa. The news trickled through, even to the prisoners. Tokyo under attack. The home islands threatened. For Nakamura and the men, the taste of food has begun to feel heavier. Every meal now carries guilt. The war grinds on, but they are safe, fed, alive. At midday, the camp receives visitors, U.S. Army chaplains, and a team from the Red Cross. The official CK ledgers, inspect kitchens, interview prisoners. The interpreter asks Nakamura if he has any complaints. He answers truthfully, "No, the Americans feed us more than we deserve. Sometimes I think they are trying to confuse us." The interpreter laughs softly, writing it down word for word. Outside the mess hall, American cooks prepare stew for both prisoners and guards, beef, potatoes, and onions simmering together. The smell alone seems to pull memories from every man's chest. Nakamura stands in line, tray in hand, when Sergeant Kobayashi leans close and whispers, "Do you think they pity us?" Nakamura doesn't answer. He can't, because he's no longer sure. When the evening comes, a group of prisoners gathers near the fence to watch an American newsreel projected on a makeshift screen. It shows soldiers laughing, women working in factories, children eating ice cream. The voiceover booms with confidence, pride, and an ease that feels alien to men raised on scarcity. As the reel ends, one prisoner mutters under his breath, "They live as if the war is already won." Another answers, "Maybe it always was." Weeks later, SPR and gives way to the typhoon season. The rain lashes against the tin roofs. Peaches in syrup. The syrup glows amber under the lantern light, impossibly sweet. It tastes like something sacred. Some of the men close their eyes as they eat, tears rolling silently down their faces. For Nakamura, the sweetness feels like a message. The Americans are not saints. He knows that. He has seen their planes rain death on Japanese positions. He remembers the jungle, the corpses, the fire. But here, in this camp, they show another face of War One built not on hatred, but on discipline and plenty. That night, watch hour, and a letter arrives from home, one of the few to survive the censors. He opens it with shaking hands. Hiroshi, it begins in Yuki's delicate script. "We are still alive, the children grow thin, rice is ration, there is talk of eating grass again. They say America is cruel, but I no longer know what to believe. If you truly are safe, then live, that is enough." Her words break us. Something inside him, he steps outside into the rain and lifts his face to the sky. Beyond the wire, he sees American soldiers sharing cigarettes under a shelter, their laughter muffled by the storm. One of Th.M. Corporal Donnelly, the same who had once overseen letter writing, spots him and waves. Nakamura hesitates, then raises a hand in return. It's a small gesture, fleeting, but in that he feels the entire war tilt 1 inch closer toward understanding. In the following days, the prisoners began to talk more freely. They speak not only of food, but of ideas. The Americans allow KS into the camp English primers, even translations of The Grapes of Wrath and Moby Dick. Nakamura reads slowly, mouthing the foreign words. He learns that this enemy has its own hunger, its own loss, says its own ordinary men. By July, rumors of Japan's collapse grow impossible to ignore. The guards seem tenser now, yet still they feed their captives as if nothing has changed. When August 6th arrives, the sky above the Pacific feels heavier. News whispers through the barracks. A single bomb has destroyed a city called Hiroshima. Nakamura sits frozen, tin spoon in hand, the stew before him untouched. The others murmur prayers, confusion, disbelief. The Americans remain silent. 3 days later, they hear of Nagasaki. For the first time since capture, the camp falls utterly quiet. On August 15, 1945, the prisoners are assembled in formation. Lieutenant Harris, the same man who first greeted them months ago, removes his cap and speaks slowly through the interpreter. "The Emperor of Japan has accepted surrender. The war is over." Some men fall to their knees, others stare blankly at the ground. Nakamura feels the world shift under his feet, an empire vanishing, replaced by silence and a smell of rain. He realizes then that his captivity has outlasted the very nation that sent him to fight. The Americans offer one final meal. That night, roast beef, potatoes, bread, and coffee. There is no celebration, no mockery, just a quiet, shared meal between former enemies. As he eats, Nakamura understands what none of the propaganda ever told him, that sometimes victory is measured not by conquest, but by mercy. The war that shaped him has ended, but the memory of that first taste of chocolate, that first act of kindness, will follow him home forever.